Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have some stories for you from the Malicious Compliance subreddit. I don't really have a whole lot to say at the beginning of this one, so let's jump right in. This story comes to us from Ancient Educator 76. No dishes until department closes. Hello all, I work as both a teacher and at your Arizona hometown grocer. After I finish teaching 4th graders, I go to work in the deli department. There are tons of things to do. Sweep and mop, take in the teas, the soups, tear down the hot case, which has about 20 items that get tossed out and have dishes needing to be done. I've developed a system where I work on the dishes as I go, and there is a bell to ring if someone needs customer service. Some customer didn't like this daunting task of having to ring a bell to get my attention. So a new policy has been adopted by the store management team. No doing dishes until the department is closed. This is a problem. The deli department doesn't have the hours to pay us past our scheduled time. And on top of this, anytime we work past our scheduled time in the department counts as overtime. Double whammy for them. I didn't believe this was the case, but either way, this was a logistical impossibility. I knew that I couldn't do the dishes after the department closes without, going past closing time. Enter Malicious Compliance. I pace back and forth through the front of the deli, watching for customers as I clean the slicers and countertops, the only things I could do for cleaning because they were within eyesight of customers. I have about 6 customers from 4 to 7 walking past a 4x3x3 sink full of dishes piled past the top and spilling over. I keep thinking how dumb this is that I can't do the dishes right now, but resign myself to keep my malicious compliance plans of only working on customer service until 7 p.m. I keep tearing down stations and the dishes keep getting higher and piled more messily. Finally 7 p.m. I start doing dishes and I finish about 2.5 hours later. I do this 2 more times during the week and get pulled into the office with the deli manager and assistant manager both there. Assistant manager says, "It appears there's a bit of a problem here because you shouldn't be taking 3 hours to do the dishes." Then deli manager comes in. "Yeah, why don't you do the dishes in between customers?" I slowly look over to a very sheepish looking assistant manager who looks at me like they want me to shut up. I said that management said I can't do the dishes until the department closes. This started an argument back and forth between Sylvia, my deli manager, and the assistant manager that turned so angry that I got uncomfortable. "These overtime hours aren't coming out of my department, fix it." The assistant manager yelled back at her, "Look, you're overstepping here, we'll take it out of mine this time. Just OP, make sure you do the dishes in between customers." I got close to 9 hours overtime that week. Maybe I'll get some new shoes. Jumping down to the comments on this one, there's one from a user called Avid Learner. It says, "That's wild how a dumb rule like that creates more work and drama. I mean, really, cleaning as you go makes sense. You can't just wait until the end of the day to fix everything, especially when it's piling up and causing overtime messes. It's like management thinks there's a time machine or something." Another commenter down below called Sweetberry0 said, "That moment the assistant manager realizes they've shot themselves in the foot and their own department's budget is just chef's kiss. The sheer audacity of management to create a rule like that, then get mad at you when you follow it to the letter, and it costs them money." Was anybody else surprised on this one that OP actually stuck around to do all the dishes? I mean, if there was a chance they were going to say, "No, you can't do that because we don't pay overtime," if there was the slightest chance I wasn't going to get paid for that time, I would have been like, "Oh, look, my day's done, time to leave. Not my problem if the dishes aren't done." I can understand the frustration on OP's side though, because if they need that money because being a teacher in their state doesn't pay enough to support a household, then they don't want to rock the boat in their second job. This story comes to us from Championship Alarmed. "Just a nice little walk. Sure, love it." The company I work for is renovating our building, so we were moved to a different office. The new location adds about 10 minutes to my commute, but that's not a big deal. The new building has parking, but we didn't get enough access cards for everyone. Since I only come in twice a week, I didn't get one. My direct boss told me I could go to the front desk and if there was a space available, they'd give me a card. That should always be the case since we're all on 1/3 time work from home contracts. A little inconvenient, but still not a big deal. On my first day there, however, the front desk lady made it very clear and very loudly that this was not happening. The cards are personalized, but the parking spots aren't. This is an inner city location, so there's no chance of parking on the street. I called my boss, who redirected me to his boss, who then told me to park either at our old office, a 20-minute walk away, or at another company location, a 15-minute walk away, and enjoy a nice little walk. Excuse me? That would mean losing 40 minutes of my working time. I can't start earlier or stay later because I need to be home when my kids get back from school. I spoke to someone from the Works Council and he told me to read my contract. The workplace is listed as the old office, which means my workday starts when I arrive there and ends when I leave. So, sure thing, boss's boss. I'll park there and take that nice little walk, counted as working hours. Let's see how long I can keep this up until they react. They can't really fire me anyway, since I'm one of only a handful of experts in the country, and the other guy quit 3 months ago. 2 weeks and 6 work walks later, I get an email from the highest level boss about this issue. Suddenly, day passes can be issued so everyone can park at the current location, even though the contract location hasn't changed. I live in a country where firing people isn't easy. Interestingly, the front desk lady I dealt with before was moved to another location. My timesheets have now been revised 4 times, each showing the walk as a business trip. The boss's boss, who was set to retire in 8 months, got the golden handshake and will retire at the end of this month. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Tremenda Karucha. It says, "It's kinda wild how a simple parking snafu turned into this red tape nightmare. Everyone's just passing the buck instead of fixing the actual problem." Another commenter down below called Working Editor 3435 said, "Good for you. Workers Council, hard to fire, employment contract, no parking available in the city. This is how you say you work in Germany without saying you work in Germany." Alright, I'm not sure how the temperature goes over where OP is, but here in the middle of the summer, if I needed to walk 20 minutes to get from my car to work, I would be a drenched mess by the time I got there. We've been between 32 and 35 Celsius over the last little while with this heat wave going through, and I sweat like crazy. So if you want me to stink, by all means, I'll park 20 minutes away. Thanks. This story comes to us from Heaven Dancer. Only phone calls matter? You get what you asked for. My mother is toxic and likes to have unspoken rules for me that I never know exist until I break them. However, I have one time in my life where I broke one but decided she was going to eat her own words because I had enough. A few years ago, her birthday in May landed on a weekday with Mother's Day that weekend. I was busy at work that week and was already working weekends and overtime. But I always made sure to remember her birthday and Mother's Day. I bought her presents, sent her a birthday card and Mother's Day card, texted her a happy birthday and Mother's Day, and even gave a very well thought out post on her Facebook. It's all I had time for. However, I never heard a word from her. She didn't call me, nor did I get a text if she even received the present that I sent her. No thank yous, nothing. I was too busy to even ask about it, and with her typical behavior of ignoring me, I just didn't press her about it. In December, a special event came up in my life which I told her about several times. My sister had similar events, and my mother always remembered hers. So when it came and went with her saying nothing, I brought it up over text. I was told that she didn't realize it was important to me. I was upset and admittedly angry over once again being ignored and forgotten about. Cue her usual deflection, in which she then turned the entire argument around on me. And that's when I found out she did receive my present 7 months later. She then told me, and I quote, "You didn't think it hurt my feelings when you didn't bother to call me on my birthday or Mother's Day? Sorry, but Facebook cards just don't get it, and neither does texting." Fine. Cue my malicious compliance. For the next year, she never got a text, a Facebook post, birthday present, Mother's Day present, Christmas present, etc. But she got her phone call on her birthday and holidays. Phone calls are the only thing she received because, as she said, other forms of communication and thoughtful gestures didn't cut it. After a year of this, my mother sends in her reliable flying monkey. My sister calls me to tell me that Mom doesn't think you love her because you don't send her presents anymore. I'd like to say I stood my ground, but at that time I was still a doormat, so the malicious compliance ended. I'm no contact with my family now, but to this day, it makes me proud that for once, I used her words against her and set a boundary. She never said that to me again, so it was worth it. Jumping down to the comments on this one, there's one from a user called Equivalent Salary 357 who quoted OP when they said, "I'd like to say I stood my ground, but at the time, I was still a doormat." They said, "It takes time for us to change. Very seldom is it truly instantaneous. Try not to look back and criticize yourself for the time it took to become the new you." Easy for me to say try not to, but although it's something I struggle with, it's something I try to remember. Another commenter down below called Aggravating Owl 7333 said, "Gestating a fetus doesn't always mean that a woman deserves respect. Sometimes it just means that they were a walking incubator. I'm speaking from personal experience." OP responded and said, "The stories I could tell of her being a mother, I moved far, far away, and honestly, it was the best thing I ever did, next to finally just cutting contact. It's been a year so far, no regrets. I miss having the concept of a mother, but since she didn't always want to be a good one, I'm not missing her as a mother. I really don't understand the part of a parent thinking that they're entitled to a gift from their children. I mean, send me a text, give me a phone call, or maybe even an email, I don't care. Just acknowledge that the birthday's there, and I'm good to go because as long as you're still talking to me, then we're in good shape." This story comes to us from C-Stam Tech. Grandma cares. I'm not 100% sure this fits, but it's a story that I've never forgotten and elevated my grandma to almost godlike status in the eyes of a young elementary kid. When I was in early elementary school, I was visiting my grandma with my family. This was the late 70s, early 80s, and my grandma had tons of binders full of photos of kids, grandkids, family events, etc. When visiting, we would often pull them out and look through them. This morning, it happened to be me, 7 or 8 male, sister 10 to 11 female, and cousin 10 to 11 female, looking through the photo binders with grandma sitting in a chair nearby. We had been pulling them out of the cabinet end table, looking through them, when either my sister or my cousin ran across a photo of me in one of the binders. The picture was of me around 2 years old, standing in my birthday suit, head to toe with nothing hidden. I don't recall exactly anything that my sister or cousin said, but I remember them making fun of me and picking on me. I kept telling them to stop. I got more and more upset, but they kept going. I think Grandma was just sitting watching this exchange until I turned to her and said, "Grandma." Grandma slid forward in her chair and, in a nice, even tone, told the girls to give her the binder. She looked at the page with my picture, opened the page, and took out the picture. Sister and cousin were quiet as soon as she asked for the binder. She looked at the picture and then handed it to me and said, "Here, this is yours." And she sat back in her chair. I remember my mood completely changed, like I'd been given the most amazing gift. I looked back at her and asked, "It's mine?" She said, "Yep." I think this is the malicious compliance. I proceeded to rip that picture into as many tiny pieces as possible with the biggest smile on my face, while my sister and cousin complained to my grandma that I was destroying the photo and that I should stop. Her response, with no other words while all this is happening, in that calm grandma tone, "It's his picture, he can do whatever he wants with it." The only thing I remember after that is having the biggest smile on my face while joyfully tossing all those small pieces in the garbage, while my sister and cousin whined and complained. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called 1R Ferris. It says, "I feel like there is an important lesson here for parents, but I can't quite grasp it. Not just don't take photos of your kids in the buff, that should be obvious. I'm thinking about the way the grandma gave OP ownership of the thing that was causing him distress, not telling him he could destroy it as a solution to his problem, just that it's his now. There is something there that I respect, and I'm trying to figure out how to internalize this concept for my own parenting style. I couldn't agree more with OP's grandma in this one by giving OP the agency to decide what to do with that photograph. Instead of always telling our kids what to do or dealing with situations ourselves so they don't have to, we need to allow them to make more decisions. Then they learn to deal with the consequences of their own actions. This story comes to us from LivingAd4941. Don't ask me to wear a collared shirt at 9 p.m. for the following morning and not expect a surprise. This one is actually pretty funny. I was doing training to become an instructor in a very lax job where jeans are a requirement. I was doing training 3 hours away and they never told us we needed a collared shirt. I was just planning to wear a black V-neck shirt all weekend while teaching. However, the night before my 7 a.m. class at 9 p.m., they text us and said, "You need to have a collared shirt for tomorrow." I was like, ain't no way you're telling me this 3 hours from home. Irritated, I went to Target at 9 p.m. and said, I'm gonna wear a Hawaiian shirt just to be spiteful. They said collared, not what kind of collared. So I picked one up and showed up with it the next morning, took off my jacket, and looked my boss square in the eye and said, "Be careful what you ask for." They all laughed so hard. The students loved it, they loved it, I loved it, and that's the story of how I ended up with a Lilo and Stitch Hawaiian shirt. Jumping into the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Nope Ninja Squirrel. It says, "Perfect malicious compliance. I hope you expensed that too, since it wasn't a requirement communicated ahead of time, and they forced you to go out and buy a shirt. Therefore, working expense." OP responded and said, "I should. My tax guy is going to be like, what and why?" Another commenter down below called Sino01 said, "According to a Hawaiian professor I had 20 years ago, Hawaiian shirts are appropriate in any situation depending on how they're worn. Unbuttoned equals casual. Buttoned equals business casual. Tucked equals formal." OP responded to this and said, "Then there's me, tucked, unbuttoned, and in my jean capris and Adidas sneakers. I look fabulous." Alright, we're going to end this one here. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to follow us on your preferred podcasting platform. If you're on Spotify, remember that you can rotate your phone now and get the video there as well. Please give us a 5-star rating for that one. I mean, come on. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. Please, it really does help us out. I thank you all for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.